Hi guys, so this is the long-awaited Saturday video of Degrassi relationships 8 through 14. I know a lot of you guys are probably waiting for this one on pins and needles, so we're gonna finish up in this notebook, and then I had to start writing them in this notebook. So let me just get to season 14 in this notebook, where it is. There it is. Okay, so let's start going through them. So season 8, Holly J and Blue. I liked Holly J and Blue season 8 because I feel like, you know, he was really bringing out the best in her, and he really liked her for her, and I don't feel like Holly J had ever had that before. So it was nice to see somebody actually like her for her, and they did end up breaking up because, you know, he thought she was, I don't know if it was selfish. I know he said that you're the kind of girl that wants everything handed to her on a silver platter, and I'm not interested in that type of girl. But I don't know if, like, what exactly that would be. Like, high maintenance, I guess, maybe? I don't know. But they don't really, you know. Anyway, and then they get back together because, you know, Holly J is seen as, you know, a hero after what happened, because she was, honestly, what happened at the dot. So I'm going to put this here. I'm going to say this here now. Trigger warning, I don't know what could happen in these next few relationships, but there will probably be something. So just wide trigger warning. We might be talking about the robbery at the dot. We might be talking about, you know, we'll be talking about Allie and Leo's relationship. We'll be talking about, maybe some others off the top of my head. I don't really know, but it'll probably come up. Oh, Maya and Cam's. Maya and Cam's. That's the other one. Okay, now we're good to go. So yeah, that was Holly J and Blue. Overall, I liked them and in season 8, but we'll get to season 9. Craig and Yvette. I feel bad for Yvette. Let me just be honest. That's Craig's model girlfriend from Degrassi Goes Hollywood, if you didn't know. I feel bad for her because honestly, when Ellie comes back, Craig just completely forgets about her. And I feel so bad for her because she seems so sweet. She seems so amazing. And Craig is just like, nah, Ellie's back. Bye. Danny and Leah. Okay. Leah was a bit of a liar. She's a fibber. She liked to fib. Leah and Danny, I never really liked them together. If I'm being completely honest, I just never really felt like they were right for each other. I feel like they had nothing in common, and it was like just a placeholder for like Danny and Leah. But like, I just never felt like they were good for each other. Jay and Manny. Okay, I freaking love Jay and Manny. Let me get that right now. Like, especially when like, she's telling the speech to him, she's like, I used to be crazy over Craig, but like you, and then she like hitched her, I think, car to his, and she's like, wherever you're going is where I'm going, dummy, or like something like that. And it was so cute. Jimmy and Trina. I still don't like Jimmy and Trina. I still don't want her with him. Honestly, if I'm going to be honest, I think Jimmy and Hazel should have stay together. But yeah, Jimmy and Trina, I don't like. Johnny and Allie. Let's talk about what a hot mess Johnny and Allie was. First of all, ew. He's gross. But yeah, he upsets me in so many ways because he literally took advantage of her. And even though she's like, oh, I wanted to, no, like, you could tell she didn't, like, it's just, he so clearly took advantage of her, and then for him to possibly have an STI and then tell her that she just has to get tested, but like, bruh, know about your body before you're having sex. Like, I'm sorry, but, you know, Casey and Claire. I didn't hate Casey and Claire when they first started, but it, like, when they first got together, it seemed like they were into each other, but like, then it seemed like even right after they got together, it seemed like Casey was kind of like not as into Claire as he was. Like, even before Jenna came, it just seemed like Casey was, like, losing interest. I don't know. It might just be me, but, you know. Kelly and Emma. I hate Kelly and Emma. I really do. Like, I just never really liked Kelly as a character. I think I put Kelly in, like, useless or something. I never really liked Kelly as a character. I felt that he was kind of there for, like, no reason. I just feel like they didn't really work well together. Like, they were so different that it's like, and it's not always bad to be different, but it's like, when you, like, don't have, like, one thing in common, it's like, I don't think it's really gonna work out if you don't, like, have things in common, because, like, then, I'm not saying you have to have things in common. I think you guys know what I'm saying. Like, if your vibes don't match, then it's not really gonna, yeah. Because then that breakup they have is very, Manny and Mick. If you don't know who Mick is, that is her theater professor, which just makes me feel all kinds of ick. Mick looks like a rejected Johnny Depp. And, no. Absolutely not. Like, he just upset me to my core, and the way he was so, like, verbally abusive to Manny, no thank you. Like, get out. Paige and Griffin. Apparently she broke up with Griffin when she moved to LA, like when she went to LA. I don't know if she did or not, but that's what everybody's saying, so that's what I'm going with. I guess that happened. I don't know. Don't take my word for it. That's what it said on the source that I got all this from. Peter and Darcy. This is when they break up for the second time because she's going to Kenya. I was really upset because I really think that Darcy was good for Peter, and I really think that he deserved to have his happy ending with her, but, you know, she wanted to go and help kids in Kenya. Peter and Mia. I really liked Peter and Mia. I feel like Mia was really, like, helping him with his baby sister and really, like, you know, helping him figure things out, and he was really supportive of her after all that bad press came out. Even though it was true, he didn't think any less of her, and I think she was also one of Peter's best relationships. Sav and Anya. So Sav and Anya date the first time, and then they end for a really stupid reason because, you know, she wasn't at his family dinner, and then they got together again, and then they ended again because she was alone in a tent with a boy, and if they can't have the same rules, then Sav and Anya give me a stomach ache. They make me exhausted. I'm just like, oh my God, the amount of overreacting in this relationship every single time. I just, so those two times I thought it was stupid to break up for those reasons. But you know, Anya's still my girl. Spinner and Jane. I love Spinner and Jane because I feel like they really understood each other better than anybody else on the show. And honestly, they were like the same person. Like Jimmy said, it's like, she's you with breasts. Like, it just, yes. Holly, J, and Blue. This is where they start to fall apart, and I don't like that Blue is calling her just Holly without the J because her name is Holly J. And Blue is saying to people that she'll do all these things, and like, he can't just make promises like that on her behalf because she's the president, not him. Danny and Shantae. I do think Danny and Shantae were more like, suited. That's the word. Were more suited for each other because, you know, they had a lot more in common and all that. So I feel like they were more suited for each other and they were able to get along better. Danny and Leia, this is obviously where they break up, so Danny and Shantae can get together, and yeah, I think it was time to end the relationship. And then, but I feel bad for Leia because right after they ended the relationship, she was black holed. Declan and Holly J. Declan and Holly J are a ride, and I mean, I love Declan and Holly J because I feel like she was able to put him in his place and get him to stop being a player. And, like, he was also able to teach her how to have fun every once in a while and not be so, like, uptight and stuck up all the time, which I think they really helped each other in that way. Declan and Jane. Something that never happened. I like to believe it never happened because it was so stupid. Why would Jane cheat on Spinner? Like, it just made no sense to me. I'm like, Jane and Spinner were like such a good couple. Why did Jane cheat on Spinner? Like, first of all, in my opinion, Declan's not even that attractive. So let's just get that out of it. But like, he's not my type. So I don't really like preppy schoolboys. Declan and Trish. This was a little fling he had before he started dating Holly J. She's that cheerleader that had like no lights on upstairs. Yeah, I think I put her in useless, but yeah, I didn't know much about that. So, but it was just on this list because it was listed there. Johnny and Allie. This is where they end. I think it was good for Allie to break up with Johnny because obviously he's been lying to her this whole time. He hasn't been telling her the truth. Like, okay. Casey and Claire. They end here. I don't really like the way that they ended, but at least Claire got the closure that Casey, you know, does like, you know, someone else, and they at least got to break up in person, which a lot of people in Degrassi don't really break up in person. I mean, a couple of them do, but when social media got more prevalent, it was like, you know. Casey and Jenna. I don't feel like Casey and Jenna should have dated, especially in season 9, because, you know, she was a boyfriend stealer. That was her whole thing. And I just feel like, you know, like Casey breaking up with Claire and then immediately going to Jenna was just a mess. And then if you factor that in with the whole Coach Carson thing, and it's just, it was a mess. Kelly and Emma. This is where they break up, and I'm glad they break up because honestly, like, I never thought they were good for each other. I never thought Kelly really, like, you know, like, was supposed to be there. And, like, it just, I just don't understand Kelly's point of existing. Like, it just, I don't know. Peter and Mia. This is where they end because, you know, Mia's going to model in Europe when actually she's going to be a vampire in the Vampire Diaries. Oh, sorry, not a vampire yet. My bad. But yeah, I felt really bad for Peter because he was obviously going through something and Mia was keeping him grounded. And so without Mia there, he kind of started to lose himself a little bit. But I'm glad that his mom came back to take care of him. Riley and Fiona. I feel like this is something that should have never happened because honestly, Fiona being such a sweetheart, she could tell that Riley was going through something. And she's like, if you want to keep dating while you figure your stuff out. And he's like, I am straight. And it's like, Riley, no, you're not. Like, just accept people telling you that you're not straight. Like, it's just, I know you don't want to come out, but like, Fiona's trying to help you in the nicest way, and she's trying to support you through it. Sav and Anya, they end again. You know, which, because I think it was because, well, they had, is this where they had S in the limo and Farah was there? And then, yeah, that's right, because it was after the interview came out with babies, and yes, okay, that's what it was, yes. Spinner and Emma. I like to believe this didn't happen also because this was a hot mess, because why did this happen? He'd been bullying her basically her whole time in school, like. Spinner and Jane. I also think that should have happened because I really don't think that, like, I just think they should have ended up together. Zane and Riley. This is where they first start, and I'm just going to say, poor Zane. That's all I'm going to say, because Zane has to go through a lot with Riley, and Zane is so patient, and Riley is just, like, not understanding why Zane will be upset sometimes. And it's like, Zane's trying so hard for you and you're just not. I get heated, I'm sorry, but it's like, I feel so bad for Zane because Riley, I feel like, is just like hurting Zane again and again because he wants to stay in the closet. And like Zane, like it's like the bullying with the football players. I just, Adam and Fiona. So Adam and Fiona was not a good thing, because Adam honestly was like, oh, like, I'm into Fiona, and Fiona was sweet to Adam at first. But then, you know, Fiona had her own problems going on after what had happened with someone who was farther down on this list. And Fiona needed help, and what she said to him drunk, I can't even imagine how that made Adam feel. And it just... And I oh my gosh. Anya and Dr. Chris. Let me talk about Anya and Dr. Chris. I hate it. It makes me feel so icky. Anya and Dr. Chris is just, I literally put Dr. Chris in scum of the earth because I called him a pervert. Because honestly, she is 17 and like he is like in his 20s, and like I know that like he didn't know, but that still doesn't excuse like anything. And like I really don't like Dr. Chris. Dave and Sadie. I actually like Dave and Sadie. I feel like they had a lot in common, especially about basketball, and once he got past her height, I feel like they were actually a really good, loving relationship. But then of course he started to like Allie again, so. Declan and Holly J. So obviously Declan and Holly J I liked until we got to season 10, because this is when Declan started to be like, how much money do I have to spend for you to do what I ask? And it's like, the fuck? Like, what? They really destroyed Declan's character development with that one. I was like, ew. That sounds ew. Drew and Allie. Okay, well, it looks like they dated 4 times. Drew and Allie were a mess, and I don't even want to go into the whole Bianca and Boiler Room thing, but Drew and Allie were a mess. If Drew really liked Allie, he wouldn't have cheated on her with Bianca in the Boiler Room, and then Allie getting blamed for everything, even though it was Drew's fault just as much as it was her fault. And, you know, Drew, Taylor Lautner looking ass. I have a problem with Drew because Drew is such a whiny little bitch, and he gets his mom to fight his battles for him. Oh, and not even to mention the fact that if he really liked Allie, he wouldn't be looking at other people. I just have such a problem with Drew motherfucking Torres. Like, but Drew and Allie was a disaster waiting to happen. He's the school player. Why would you go with it? He's literally a fuck boy in the two that like Drew and Bianca. Not this season, but I do think Bianca definitely got him better, like his personality better. But of course, like, you know, at this time, Bianca was still, you know, running with her old crew, so it wasn't the most stable of relationships, but it was definitely more like one of his stable relationships. Eli and Claire, the first time they dated. I really liked Eli and Claire the first time. It was like the emo guy and like the like preppy girl, I guess is the way to put it. But like, it's so funny because like they worked so well together and they had a lot of the same interests, even though they look completely different and came from completely different households. It was just like perfect. Like they just fit together perfectly. It was definitely a perfect example of opposites attract, and I loved it so much. And they were just so like, they were good until we got to episode 44 and 45, because that's when Eli started to trigger me, honestly, because when he breaks up with Claire over the phone, that's exactly like one of my past relationships. Fiona and Bobby. So obviously, Fiona and Bobby, if you don't know who Bobby is, double B, Bobby Beckenridge, that was a very abusive relationship. And, you know, so I feel like, you know, Fiona and Bobby, that was not a good relationship. I don't know why Fiona's mom thought that because he was in a connected family, he was like a good person to set her daughter up with. She literally put her daughter in danger And I know like Fiona should have been upright and told her like right, like up front, I meant, and like told her, but you know. Johnny and Kayla. Now this is just, that's funny because that's my name. This is just a little thing where when he was in college and Allie ran away to his dorm, the girl Kayla that helped her put her disguise, that was his girlfriend. I don't really know much about them. Casey and Jenna. So obviously they're having some troubles because Jenna falls pregnant. And Casey's like, I don't have like my dad's in jail, I can't be one. And he's like being really rude to her and everything. They eventually do get back together and decide to raise the child together. But it's like, you know, if a guy's not going to be, you know, there for you when one of the like hardest moments of your life, you're pregnant, I don't think he's really a good guy for you. And I think this is when we start to see the cracks form in Casey and Jenna's relationship. And maybe it's not as, you know, good as we thought it was. Sav and Anya, the last time. Yes, the last time. Okay. So Sav and Anya, you know, Anya's pretending to be pregnant and then it's like, oh my God, Sav loves me and we're going to have the child together. And Holly J's like, you're not freaking pregnant. But of course, Sav and Anya, I feel like this time it could have actually worked if Sav was willing to tell his parents about Anya. Like if he was actually willing to stand up for her. But of course he never would grow a backbone and never do it. So it ended, obviously. Sav and Holly J. I don't feel like Sav and Holly J should have happened. For the sole reason of it always felt so casual. Like that's what it was supposed to be. But it always felt so casual. And like then, of course, when she had to have the surgery, that's when he was like, oh my God, I couldn't live with myself if I lost you. And I'm like, where was this Sav? Like at the beginning, like where was this? And then of course he ended up telling his mom, and I think that's the next season. I think I'm ahead of myself, but like he ends up telling his mom and she's like all on board for it. And I'm like, why couldn't you do that with Anya? And like, so many things. Wesley and Hannah. I really liked Wesley and Hannah. She was like someone who was as smart as him, and she was someone who had the same interests as him, and it just really worked well for Wesley, and I'm glad that he got a girlfriend, and then they both got black holed, you know. Zane and Riley. So obviously they're still having troubles because Riley's not coming out till football season's over, so, you know, but then eventually Riley did out himself by accident on the internet, and so he comes to terms with it, and everybody lives happily ever after, essentially. Anya and Dr. Chris. Only one episode because, you know, he's going to Doctors Without Borders. She offers to go with him, which I think is a big red flag. And I just think the whole relationship is a red flag. And you can't even really call it a relationship. It's a red flag. Dave and Allie. I loved Dave and Allie. Dave didn't cheat. I don't know who Jacinta is. I don't know her. Dave did not cheat. I was really mad when they made Dave cheat because I really wanted him and Allie because I felt like they were really good for each other. Obviously, this is before Dallas came in, and obviously I choose Dallas over anybody else to be with her. But, you know, I really liked Dave and Allie in season 11. Dave and Jacinta. Let's not even talk about Jacinta because she doesn't even matter, frankly, because she was just his side chick. So, yeah, Dave and Jacinta, who's that? I don't know. Dave and Sadie. They ended here, obviously, so Dave and Allie could start. And I really feel like it was kind of shitty the way Dave ended things with Sadie. He probably should have, you know, broke up with her when he started having feelings for Allie instead of letting his relationship go on. But, you know, nobody does what they're supposed to. Drew and Bianca, they end here because of the stuff going on with the, you know, group that's targeting Drew because of Bianca. So, well, not really because of Bianca, but, you know, because he's with Bianca. You know how that goes. Anyway. And because of what happened with Anson and, oh. Anyway, so, yeah, I really feel like they should have stick together, but, you know, Drew cared about his safety, and I feel like he should have been more sympathetic to Bianca because he wasn't being sympathetic enough to her. Like, this is really dangerous stuff, and I think he really underestimated, like, how scared Bianca was and, like, how much, like, dangerous situation she was in. Drew and Katie. So, Drew and Katie, they were good until they weren't. Like, Drew was really good at supporting her through her injury and her soccer tryout, and Katie was really good at helping him let go of like all that fear and like channel it into like Taekwondo instead of like, you know, MMA and what he was doing and getting himself in those dangerous situations. Eli and Imogen. So Eli and Imogen were short-lived, and I mean, I didn't really like Imogen when she first showed up. I felt she was kind of like, you know, not like a good person, but we start to see that Imogen is actually a good person, and I feel like Imogen and Eli would have been good if Imogen didn't walk on eggshells around him. And I understand her walking on eggshells around him. I was in a relationship like that, where it's like I was afraid my partner would fly off the handle and I start walking on eggshells around them. I understand, but when you walk on eggshells around them and you try to talk about, you know, their like, you know, diagnosis all the time, they get very annoyed. They're like, can we please talk about something else? And like, you know, they just want to be treated like a normal person. Fiona and Charlie. I didn't hate Fiona and Charlie. I just feel like, you know, maybe it wasn't the right time for them because it seemed like Fiona and Charlie weren't being honest with each other about things. And so, you know, I just feel like they were better as friends, honestly. Fiona and Imogen, they start here. And honestly, Fiona and Imogen are so cute. Like, I love them so incredibly much because I feel like Fimogen was honestly the best relationship either of them were in, because honestly, they really got each other and they really understood each other and they were always there for each other. And like, honestly, they were just the perfect relationship. Glenn and Helen Edwards, obviously that's like, you know, Jake's dad and Claire's mom. They got married and, you know, I think they were really good for each other. She seemed really happy after her divorce to be with Glenn, and I think it was a really, really good relationship for her because they seemed to get along better. Jake and Claire. I hated Jake and Claire. Every single moment of it. I hated it. Especially when they became step-siblings and they kept dating. Ew. Ew. But I feel like Jake and Claire just had nothing in common. Like, they just really didn't really vibe. Like, I'm like, why? Like, and then Jake's also not that good looking because his haircut was like a weird bowl cut mullet thing and it was weird. It's just, no. Jake and Claire were just, no, not it. Casey and Jenna. This is when they end for like the final time because, you know, they have the baby. And I think that, you know, Casey probably should have ended things with Jenna because he started to like somebody else and he wasn't really in it anymore. And so when Jenna's like, let's put Ty up for adoption and Casey's like, no, it's like, Casey, you're barely there. Like, you know, you don't really want to be with Jenna, and not being with Jenna while taking care of the baby is going to be a lot harder than being with Jenna to help take care of the baby. And it's just, there were so many things that just made me upset. Like here, Casey and Marisol. It should have never happened. He was with Jenna. They have baby together. They have cute little Tyson. Like, why? Why did you cheat on her with Marisol, of all people, first of all? And then Marisol being the home wrecker, because there are so many problems I have with Casey and Marisol. We're just going to move on. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I know you probably have a lot of thoughts about this with me, but okay. Mo and Marisol. I love Mo and Marisol. They are so amazing together, and Mo is like so sweet because he really likes her, and he didn't start to like her until she started to like him, and then it's just so cute. I love it. Anya, and after she got over her prejudices about, you know, appearances, Anya and Owen. So Anya and Owen, I actually did like them because Owen really liked Anya, and dating Anya made him become a better person. And I really feel like it was good to see that change in Owen, him becoming a better person through Anya and him trying to help her stop her coke addiction. And just, Owen was always there to support Anya, and it was really nice to see. Zane and Riley. So apparently Zane and Riley dated again, but it was on Twitter, not shown in the show. It was confirmed on Twitter. But no, I I liked Zayn and Riley. I think that they were going to last because Zayn did so much for Riley and Riley did so much for Zayn. And, you know, Zayn trying to help Riley come out to his mom when Riley was continuously trying to come out to his mom. And, you know, I just feel like it was a really good relationship. There were some toxic moments, but overall I think it was good for the both of them. Zig and Tori. This is where they start, and then he didn't want to start high school with a girlfriend, so he broke up with her, and then they start again. But I feel like Zig and Tori were really good for each other. I feel like they really understood each other, and they were meant to be with each other. So season 12, Becky and Adam. I fucking love Becky and Adam. Let me just get that out there. I literally think they were really good for each other, and they probably would have been endgame. But Becky walking out on her parents with Adam and being like, I love Adam. It doesn't matter what you think. Yes, Becky. Like, girl power. Yes. Like, fuck your parents and what they think. Adam and Missy. That should have never happened. I don't know who Missy is. I don't know this bitch. Like, I really could not stand Missy. Like, from the moment she showed up, I was like, this girl is trouble. Like, I never trusted her. Cam and Maya. We love Cam and Maya here. They never broke up. That's a lie. I know they did, but like, let's pretend they didn't. Cam and Maya, so sweet. So sweet. I love Cam and Maya. I love them so much. I can't. I love them. They were so good. He was literally like trying to learn how to be a boyfriend because he never had a girlfriend before and she never had a boyfriend. They were literally babies and they were like, I can't. And then he got her a charm bracelet. I can't. He was such a good boyfriend to her, and she was such a good girlfriend to him, and they just worked so well together. Connor and Jenna. I love Connor and Jenna. Connor really cared about her, and Jenna was really sweet to him, and they just worked so well together. Honestly, I didn't expect it to work, but it did. It was sweet. Dallas and Vanessa. The 3 years before she shows up is when they had been dating. And, no, I think they still have a good co-parenting relationship. Honestly, I like them as co-parents because, you know, they have to work together. They have a son. Dave and Allie, this is where they end. I feel like she tried to start up again with him, and I felt like that wasn't an awful idea. But then again, of course, she's so busy, and like Dave not being like supportive of how busy she is kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And that's when I started to lose kind of my respect for Dave because of that. Drew and Bianca. So obviously Drew and Bianca are going through it, but they get back together and they start to work out and they get engaged. Honestly, I love Drew and Bianca being like, fuck Audra, let's get married. But also I understand Bianca wanting to still have a relationship with her. And so I like that Audra was nice enough to help them get back together, but I like that Drew understood Bianca wanting to have a relationship with Audra and helped facilitate that. Drew and Katie. Obviously they end here because, you know, Katie starts dating somebody else. So yeah, didn't like Drew and Katie. Katie helped him, but you know, Drew has a wandering eye. Eli and Claire. I love Eli and Claire, especially season 12. Season 12 is good for Eli and Claire. They're really good in season 12. And then of course, when Cam ultimately chooses to make the decision that Cam makes, then Claire's like, you need to talk. And Eli's like, I don't want to talk. But like Claire was hearing him. She wasn't listening. So, you know, and they broke up. Fiona and Imogen, they end here. And I really don't think they should have ended. I think they could have done long distance. But, you know, that's not what Degrassi decided to do. So they ended, which really broke my heart because I feel like they were really the best people for each other, honestly. Jake and Katie. So Jake and Katie, I loved them so much. And of course, you know, Katie did what she did in Vegas, which she didn't do, but they thought she did. You know what I mean? And she was lying to him a lot, and I feel like she should have just honestly been honest with Jake about what happened. And, you know, I feel bad for Jake, but then I stopped feeling bad for Jake because then he makes jokes with Mo about Katie putting pro on her resume, and that's, like, so disgusting. And, like, honestly, like, and then Katie tries to apologize and Jake's like, good for you. Like, and it's like, she's trying to apologize. Like, bruh, like, you don't have to accept her apology, but at least know that she's trying to make amends. And Zig and Tori. I love Zig and Tori so much, and it's kind of like with Sav and Anya, where I thought she was breaking up with him for like the wrong reasons, but then as I got older, I'm like, no, actually, she has valid points to break up with him. But no, when she met his mom, that was just the sweetest thing ever, and like I just, you know, I love them. Becky and Adam, season 13, Becky and Adam. They broke up, which really broke my heart, but like, you know, Becky wasn't being honest with Adam, and Adam wasn't being honest with Becky, and it's like, you both just need to like sit down and have this conversation, like over FaceTime, have this conversation about your worries and fix it, because if you don't have a conversation about your worries and you don't fix it, like, it's not gonna work. Allie and Leo. We don't even need to talk about Allie and Leo. They never got married. Obviously they did, but like, you know what I mean. Yeah, Leo was just like so abusive, and I felt so bad for Allie, because if anyone didn't deserve to go through this, it definitely wasn't Allie. Like, nobody in Degrassi deserved to go through these abusive relationships, and it breaks my heart every time we have one. Allie, it broke my heart so much because she really thought she found love. She found the one, and it just broke my heart so much that he hurt her. Allie and Dallas. I love Allie and Dallas. Dallas was definitely the person for Allie. He really loved her. He kept like trying to date her, and it was just so cute. Drew and Becky. So Drew and Becky were something that, a fever dream, honestly. I hate Drew and Becky because I don't think they should have been together, because they didn't really vibe, but more in season 14, you know, but... Drew and Bianca. I don't think they should have broken up. I really don't think they should have. Bianca let her college friends get in her head too much. And honestly, I don't think they should have broken up. They were the only people that could like match each other's energy. And like, I don't understand. Drew and Zoe. Drew and Zoe was a mess. Zoe was just Drew's rebound. I really don't think they should have been together either, because honestly, like, Drew thought Zoe was too clingy. And I think Drew was very career-oriented at that moment instead of, like, relationship-oriented. So he kind of just pushed her to the side. And she was just trying to flaunt him to, like, you know, it just wasn't good. Eli and Claire, they end. And, you know, I just feel like, you know, Eli and Claire aren't being honest with each other. They're just not talking to each other. They're not communicating as well. And Claire's trying to communicate, and Eli's not getting back to her. And the whole thing with Lenore, and it's just a whole big mess, and I feel like they just needed to sit down and talk. Honestly, all couples just need to sit down and talk and figure things out. Jack and Imogen. Jack and Imogen, they start for the first time, and I don't like Jack. I just feel like Jack takes Imogen for granted a lot, and I feel like Imogen just liked Jack because Jack was the only love interest for Imogen there. And I'm like, I just don't understand. Like, I just get really mad about Jack because I feel like Jack took Imogen for granted, and Imogen being one of my favorite characters, it makes me really mad that somebody like probably did that. Maya and Miles. The amount of times these people dated 3 times. Okay, Maya and Miles, I hate it. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. I don't want to hear anybody say it was good, because Maya and Miles were definitely a hot mess, and then Zig was getting himself all wrapped up in their drama, and it was just like when Zig got wrapped up, that's when it got to be way too much. Miles just couldn't handle that Zig was friends with her, because he's like, I don't trust Zig, and it's like, well, you don't know Zig. Like, get to know Zig and then don't trust him. Like, yeah, we don't really trust Zig, but like, get to know him and then don't trust him. Miles and Tristan. I hated Miles and Tristan at this point because Tristan became such an unbearable character. Honestly, I don't know what happened, but Tristan was just like, back off my BF bitch. And it's just like, it was so, it was just so like catty. And I'm like, why? Why did we make Tristan catty? Miles and Zoe. Miles and Zoe definitely, I think, were made for each other at this point, because they were like, very like, they were very like, how can I put it? They both came from like well-off families, and they were both well-known, and so they were kind of like that celebrity couple, you know, and like, I feel like they would have worked if, you know, Maya, you know, wasn't there, but I do feel bad for Zoe when Miles broke up with her because she did look devastated. Tristan and Mr. Yates. This never happened. This never happened. This never happened. This is so gross, disgusting. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. Like, I feel like I'm going to throw up talking about it. Like, it just, you guys know why it wasn't good. The fact that it says Mr. Yates. Yeah, no. Winston and Frankie. This is where they start. And I liked Winston and Frankie. They seemed like they were really a good relationship for each other. And they really complemented each other well, honestly. So season 14. This is the last in this video. So let's jump into it. Drew and Becky. So Drew and Becky, obviously, I never liked Drew and Becky together. I really don't think that they should have been together because Drew and Becky were just, I just don't feel like they should have gotten together. Like, Drew and Becky were just not it. Not it. No. Drew and Becky, they just, and also dating your dead brother's girlfriend, like, what? Like, what? Like, I don't know. They just didn't seem like they could make it through. And of course, then, you know, Claire got pregnant. They thought it was Drew's baby, but it wasn't Drew's baby. And then all that stuff. Eli and Claire. When they find out it's Eli's baby and Eli is there for her, he's like giving her the Parents and Tots programs that look good, giving her the paycheck, giving her his stuffed wolf. It's so cute because he's literally trying to be like, look, I'm here for you and this baby. Like, clearly trying to tell Claire I'm going to be there. And that was so sweet. Jack and Imogen. Again, I just don't like Jack and Imogen. I just feel like it's not good. I feel like there's no trust there. There's no, like, I just feel like it's not good because literally, like, Jack and Imogen are just like, they don't have a lot in common and they're just like not, you know, I don't know. You know, I'm just, Jack and Imogen, I just feel like taking Imogen for granted. That's the biggest thing. Jonah and Becky. I was actually somebody who liked Jonah and Becky. I felt like Becky didn't really like get on him about his drug past and didn't really like be rude to him about it and really thought he could change. So like I really liked them because of that. But then of course, you know, they find out he stole the $200 from Becky's wallet and then it all fell apart. Miles and Tristan. So I feel like Miles and Tristan, when we get to next class, are really good for each other. Honestly, I know a lot of people are going to disagree, but that's my opinion. I really do think they were really good for each other when it came to next class because I feel like that's when they really started to understand each other. Miles and Zoe. So it's in the season 14 special. And obviously Miles and Zoe, I feel like they were really good until you could see that Zoe was not really fully into it and you could tell that she liked Grace. Winston and Frankie. I feel like all that happened in the season 14 special shouldn't have happened. Like Logan, I feel like he shouldn't have happened. But yeah, I really liked Winston and Frankie, and I'm glad that they ended up, you know, getting back together at the end of season 14. And then, of course, you know, the special happened and they broke up again. But you know what I mean. Like, I like how they got back together, but then they broke up again. Like I said, Logan shouldn't have existed. Zig and Maya. This is the first time they start dating. This is such a toxic relationship. Fully on Zig's end. Like, fully on Zig's end, this is such a toxic relationship. Ugh, I can't. But anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And yeah, let me know if you agree or disagree. Obviously, I accept whether you agree or disagree. I just ask that you guys be respectful to each other in the comments if you're going to agree and disagree. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!